Radio. Voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
please enjoy the show. Shots. Buddy, welcome to Friday Night Freedom. My name is Kaz, and this is WTF Nation Radio. We are the voice of U.S. Army WTF Moments, and I'm glad that you have taken time out of your busy schedule to hang out with us for just a little bit. Hopefully both hours tonight. In the first hour, Pooky and I are just going to be shooting the breeze with Miss Spanky here. How you doing, ma'am? Okay, she's still sleeping. She must have fallen back asleep. Oh, hi.
Everybody. I'm just out here doing my thing.
I thought just maybe you fell back asleep or something.
I might have.
We've got
I'll be good.
We've got Spanky with us tonight, so it's Pooky, Spanky, and myself, and we're just going to be kind of shooting the breeze for the first hour. I got some kind of crazy stories, funny stories, maybe a weird story, a COVID story, which is just it's just a strange. The details of that story are just awesome. But in the second hour, I hope you guys are here, and ladies. Derek Jones is going to be here. To be truthful, I hadn't heard of Derek Jones until I got the information that he was going to be a guest on Friday Night Freedom. So I looked up some of his music, and dude, this guy is good. This guy is really, really good. I listened to a few songs last night, and like a part of the way, just to kind of get a feel for his not his ability. Obviously, he's a great musician, but just kind of get a feel for the music, and you know, he sits in a country type of chair. I mean, he's in Nashville, but I didn't get a super country feeling from his music. It was rock and roll to me. It was just awesome, and I can't wait to talk to him. He'll be here at the top of next hour. So, how is everybody doing? I think everybody's thawed out here. In the great state of Texas, we hit 82 degrees. Was the day before yesterday, so that was kind of nice. How about you, Spanky? You're all thawed out down there, aren't you?
My button doesn't want to work. There we go.
Your butt doesn't want to work.
That's exactly what I heard.
That's exactly what I heard. So, okay,
not working.
We're gonna get thumbs up in the chat, thumbs up or hearts in the chat for Spanky's butt, and we hope that it starts working. Thanks, everybody.
All right, I think I got it.
Okay.
I think I got it.
Your butt's
working.
working
I'm
now?
Not prepared for this on Fridays.
You only
yes, we thought out.
You only do well on Thursdays.
Yes, Thursdays I'm like, I have. My military mentality mindset. Fridays, that's gone out the window.
I'll bet you put on your Class Bs and stuff. Just for that show, I know.
I put my hair up in a bun, too.
You know, we saw you on a podcast on like one of your non-scheduled days. It was a Saturday.
I know. They had to tell me that like 6 weeks in advance, so to make sure I was ready on a Saturday. We joined Veteran Trash Talk.
That was interesting. That was pretty cool.
I did.
That was pretty cool. There was a lot of folks on there. It was nice.
It was definitely different because I had to like set up the camera. I'm like, I don't know how to do that.
You don't get on camera. You don't get on camera.
No, I usually don't at all. And so, yes, they had both Ice and I on camera, and it was like, okay, you get to see our face. Here it is.
Ice really. I haven't seen
time.
Ice. I haven't seen Ice since well before November, and he's sporting that Santa Claus beard.
Oh, he is. He started with the No Shave November, and I guess just decided to keep it going.
That's how it starts.
That's how it starts. He could have been on with the bearded folks last week, and here I am with my
baby face. Pooky makes up for it.
Yes, he's got enough facial hair, I guess, for all of us, all three of us.
Oh yeah.
There it is.
So great. I've got we're doing some new tech tonight, so I've got like there's like 5 chat rooms open in one window, in one portion of one window, and it's really neat. I get to see everybody talking. So how's it going, everybody? This is awesome.
Hello, everyone.
So, what about you, Pookie? Are you guys out of the woods as far as the weather goes? Are you
Oh, you guys were getting hit by all that crazy snowstorm, ice storm shit. It was just raining nonstop. I felt like I was like living in Seattle or something. Like I didn't see the sun for probably about like, it seemed like a month and a half. It was nuts. We got flooding all over the place. But besides that, it's finally started to dry out a little bit. I think it's good now. I mean, I think the coldest it got was like I say high 40s. Yeah, so it wasn't too terribly bad.
Yeah, our local news lady said that it was the lowest temperature recorded up here in the North Texas area was -2. But it was just, I mean, it was -2, but then it warmed up. But it was well below freezing for, what did they say, Spanky? Like 96 hours of. It was just, I mean, that's just cold.
Oh no, it was over 200.
200 hours.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it was a record, and that's why plumbers are like banking right now around here.
Plumbers are making bank right now. Plus, I mean, Gritty is getting a kind of raked over the coals. We have in Texas. This is energy is unregulated here in Texas, so we can shop around. There's probably, if I wanted to go and change my electric plan, I can do it today. There's probably, I would say, there's probably more than 20 choices, but I bet you there's 20 regular choices of energy providers that you can choose. But of these providers, you can choose fixed rate plans. You can choose fixed plans, like you pay $80 a month, regardless of how much energy you use, up to a certain amount. Or if you go with a company like Gritty, you are at the mercy of the market. Now that works both ways. You can be paying 2 cents per kilowatt hour, or you can be paying $900 per kilowatt hour. Or not what is it? $90. Was it $90? Yeah, about $90. I think it was up to like $90 per kilowatt hour.
That's insane.
But and when I'm on an electric plan that's, you know, I did my due diligence and I looked into it, and Gritty was on the short list because I heard a lot of good things about them. But one of the main reason is because that I didn't choose them is because it says you are, and it's very explicit. It's not like it's in the fine print legal speak. It's very explicit. They're like, you will be paying whatever the market rate for energy is. If the energy rate is low, you're going to be paying a low rate. You might even have a month where you don't have to pay any money. All you pay is due
to surplus and stuff. Right?
Yes, yeah. If there's a surplus of energy on the grid, then you don't have to pay anything. But you know, it could go up unexpectedly, which is, I wouldn't say it was unexpected, but I don't think people expected things to happen the way that they did. So there's folks out there that have $17,000, $18,000, $19,000 electric bills, that's like, you know, more money than I owe on my car. And it comes out as an auto debit. That's just nuts.
So I was seeing somewhere that someone's trying to sue Gritty.
Yes, for $1 billion. $1 billion.
Yeah,
$1 billion, and they were just saying it was price gouging, but it's not. It's not. It's just you agree
market
to pay
price,
the
man.
market price. Price gouging is when a tornado or a hurricane blows through town, and you go and try to get some bottled water, and it's $19 for a 16-ounce bottle of water. That's price gouging.
Price gouging is the free market doing what it's supposed to do. I'll just say that.
Well, price gouging is more of a supply and demand thing. If there's a low supply, then your
exactly. The price of things are going to go up.
Right.
It's supply and demand. Yeah, that's the way it works. Right?
You know, there are market protections for consumers, and as far as utilities go. But as far, you know, if you choose to get into a marketplace pricing for your energy, then that's just not going to be. It'll work out most of the time, but there are instances such as what happened last week that it doesn't work out so well in your favor. Anyway. But yeah, we're all warmed up and everything is good. Everything is good. We're back to work. I got to go back to work this week, and that's been It's balls to the walls at work, man, because you miss a week of work and you're behind a couple of months. So they're changing up some of my schedule, our schedule. So it's unfortunate, and I guess this is announcement time. This is going to be my last Friday Night Freedom for a little while, probably until mid to late April. I'll be working there. Instead of going, they were going. Okay, we need people to go on second shift, and nobody was raising their hand because second shift stinks. I feel you if you're on second shift. So they decided to make an extended first shift. So we have, or it's a staggered first shift. So we got people that are showing up at 5, 6 in the morning, and then we're going to have more people like me that are going to be showing up at like 9 or 10 in the morning, and working to extend the coverage of for the engineers and the pilots that are doing testing and software development and stuff. We just have to, someone has to be there, just in case something breaks and something needs to be fixed. So that's that. So I'm not going to be able. I'm that person that gets to go to work at 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. But I have to. What that means is I get to work later. So I'm not going to be around to be able to do a show on Fridays, and I hate it because I love Friday Night Freedom. Hopefully we'll get to come up with a solution every couple of, every other Saturday or something. I could probably do like a gaming or like do some games or whatever, but I don't think it'll be a legit, like a Friday Night Freedom type of format with badass guests like Derek Jones. Maybe Pooky will get on there and do some stuff. Talk about how taxation is theft.
Yes, taxation is theft.
See, not only did we say that a couple of times, it's been in the chat a number of times, and now you've got it's on your screen.
Yes.
So let's talk about you want to go buy computer parts and stuff, or if you're a hobbyist. We have a store here called Fry's. Do you guys have a Fry's where you are?
Fry's in Houston, they had one.
Fry's Electronics.
Yes. Well, not in my area, but where I grew up in Houston, there was one, and I used to love going to it. But it's a sad story.
I love that store because when I was going to college, I went to Fry's for probably 90% of my. If I needed electrical stuff, that's a great place to go. If you want to build a computer, that's another great place to go. If you want an umbrella for your backyard, that's a great place to go. If you want a computer chair, printer paper, a mouse, graphics cards, computers, just television sets, any software you can imagine, karaoke machine. They have, it's a big electrical store. It's like, I don't know. I think they could have been
Best Buy on steroids.
It's Best Buy on steroids and a lot less organization. Every Fry store looks different. Like the facade on the outside of the store looks different, but they have, it's good stuff, man. It's just, it's computer stuff. If you know what you're looking for, that's a really good place. The help is pretty okay. So I've got no complaints, but so I'm a little bit sad to report that Fry's Electronics will be permanently closing its online and storefront shops. A response partly due to the pandemic. Now, the company released an announcement early on Wednesday on its website citing that, quote, changes in the retail industry and the challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic have forced us to close our doors. I think Fry's would do pretty good if they centralized and maintained their inventory and went to an online presence. I think that they could still sell stuff and make money.
Nah.
You don't think so?
I would disagree. No, you've got too much competition already, like a Newegg. And, yeah, stuff like that. I wouldn't mind seeing another competitor on the market, which would be awesome. But it's like a what they say, David and Goliath kind of battle at that point, because they were all brick and mortar. If they would try to switch all, kind of like what GameStop's trying to do, they're trying to go all online. I just don't. I can't foresee it. There's too much. You can't go against the Giants right now. You just can't do it.
No, I usually spend about every couple of weeks. I find myself inside of a Fry's. The particular Fry's that I go to has a building that's, let's say it's 10,000 square feet. They're using probably 4,000 square feet of it, and the rest of it is, storage. And then they have a drive up if you want to have a car stereo installed. They have an area for that. It just seems like there was a whole lot of wasted space. A lot of the different Fry's that I've seen have been in just random. It's almost like what's that Halloween store that pops up in?
Oh, Spirits.
Yeah, Spirit Halloween. It's like Spirit Halloween, but it's for electronics, and they stay all the time. Every store looks different. I've been into a couple of them.
This reminds me kind of last time. I don't know if Radio Shack's even still a thing anymore. They might not be, but I walked into one in DC area, and I was looking for resistors and solder.
Yeah.
And I walked in looking for it, and the girl looked at me like I was like, well, "What are you talking about?" I was like, well, "This is Radio Shack, right?" And she's like, "Oh, we don't sell any of that. All we sell is laptops and cell phones." I'm like, "What?"
It was a Fry's?
What? No, it was a Radio Shack.
Oh, Radio Shack,
the place where you went to get like all your electronic needs, like on a flash real quick. They didn't sell resistors anymore. They didn't sell any of that crap, capacitors, none of that. It was just laptops. And then they went out. I mean, I think they went completely under a couple years back, but
they're making a resurgence. I've been seeing some stuff on Facebook, and I was looking at like project boards, Raspberry Pi type stuff. Where you build a board and you can. It's a project board using you have a processor, and it's a 46 or an 8086 processor, and you can do it's just got little hobbies and projects and things to do. You can make alarm systems, you can make this, that, or the other thing.
A cluster supercomputer, if you know what you're doing. Which I'm planning on.
I'm not at that, because I'd like to explore some of the coding and things like that. It just seems like that would be fun to do. I'm surrounded by nerds that do that, and it'd be cool to, I don't know, I think, to just learn something new, man. Don't want to let the brain get stagnant, right?
Oh yeah. I want it for AI learning. I want to build a cluster that learns how to play video games. This is something. It's a little hobby that.
Oh, okay. So I get it. So you can log in and do nothing and let the AI do gaming for you.
Yeah, so it could do all the hard stuff for me when I get able to do the fun stuff.
Or you give it a budget and it gets on and actually trades it, like analyzes the stock market and decides which cryptocurrency to buy and how much and
exactly.
So anyway, there's no timetable announced for the closure, but the company statement said that it has ceased regular operations and it will begin an orderly wind down process. Now, the company was founded in 1985 in Sunnyvale, California. It has 31 stores, or had 31 stores, in 9 different states. Several of those stores are in Texas. Well, I mean, we have lots of them. There's several in this area, and there's, like you said, there's some in Houston.
I remember the one I went into Houston. It was like I walked in at a nerd boner. It was just like it was just like my jaw hit the ground. It was like I was probably like 16, 17 at the time, but I was really into that stuff, and I was like, oh my God, where I just died and went to heaven. It's pretty much what it was. That's why when I heard it was sad, but then I was like, I don't do that kind of shopping anymore. If I need parts, computer parts or anything like that, I'd go like either to Amazon or Newegg, and Newegg's, if you can't find it at Newegg, good luck, man.
So I don't know. That's going to put a bunch of people out of work, but hopefully they can.
I'll rebound.
They can recover. I mean, they've got a lot of inventory. It's not worthless. So they've got a lot of stuff. They've got a lot of really good stuff.
Maybe some really cheap graphics cards will pop up on what do they call that when they short sale or whatever it is when a business is going out.
They used to have a whole bunch of stuff like that on pricewatch.com, but I haven't been able to get on pricewatch.com. So.
Oh, I forgot about PriceWatch.
Yeah.
Wow.
Actually, the let me see, the graphics card that I'm running, I couldn't tell you what it is, but I got that at Fry's. The 2 monitors that I'm using, is from Fry's. I think I got this webcam from Fry's. The mouse I'm using is from Fry's. It's, now I'm going to have to go and pay, 20 or 30% more at Best Buy or order it online at Newegg. Newegg's pretty good. I like Newegg.
Newegg started adopting more along the lines of like what Amazon does, is, and they do third-party sellers.
Yeah, they allow third-party sellers. How you doing, Holly? We got a country guy coming on the show here at the top of the hour if you want to hang out. Derek Jones is going to be here. He's from your part of the woods. So did you ever wake up in the morning and not want to go to work? Well, Spanky.
Rhetorical question.
It's Pooky doesn't work. I bet you Spanky does.
Every day that I was in the Army.
Yeah, she'll wake up. So did you ever call your NCOIC and say, I'm going to sick call. I can't make formation, or I'm not going to be there at first call?
No, I texted them.
You were in a little bit later than I was. We didn't have that option. So
I'm alive. I'm going to sick call. Leave me alone.
Okay, so anybody out there in the civilian sector, you just don't feel like going to work. What do? You call up and say, okay, let's say, and this doesn't happen very often, but I don't think I've ever not wanted to go to work. I do like working. I love my job, which is unlike a lot of other folks or many other folks. But let's say you work at a store ABC and you just don't feel like going to work. So what do? A normal person would call the boss and say, hey, I'm going to take a sick day. I'm not feeling good. Or, hey, I've got the Rona. I'm going to go get a test and see what's going on. But on February 10th in Coolidge, Arizona, this guy didn't want to go to work. Police responded to a scene where a man had his hands bound behind his back with a belt and a bandana stuffed in his mouth. He was bound with a belt and he had a bandana stuffed in his mouth. The man, who was later identified as Souls, told officers that two men wearing masks kidnapped him. He said that he was knocked unconscious and driven around before eventually being dropped off near the town's water tower. Of course, they didn't say they put a noose around his neck and say this is MAGA country. They didn't say that. So Sewell say he was kidnapped because, and this was his reason he was kidnapped, is because his father had hidden a large sum of money in the desert, and they wanted him to show them where it was. But it's kind of funny how a little bit of a interrogation can bring out the facts. So after a brief investigation and some questioning, the Coolidge Police Department said that Brandon Sewells was arrested on February 17th. And he was charged with false reporting after he admitted to officers during an interview that he made up his kidnapping because he just didn't want to go to work. Now, how extreme is that?
That's overthinking things, man.
It really is. I don't think he thought all the...
Take your sick day.
Right.
Take sick day, man.
Take your sick day or take
I don't feel good.
Take a sick day, take a vacation day, take a no-pay day. Laura Woodland said it's a consensual bondage play in the desert.
One way to do it. I don't kink shame.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's so many options out there. That's pretty extreme. He probably put forth more energy doing that little stunt than it would have just calling up or even going to work.
At that point, you're just go to work. I don't know.
It's like, I don't work. I work around people that actually put more effort into not doing anything than putting forth the effort that it would take just to do their damn jobs.
Hey, being lazy takes some skill, man.
It does, but it doesn't do anybody any good.
No, it doesn't. There is a part like you cross the threshold of being like a shammer, and then you become a straight oxygen thief.
Mm-hmm.
And once you cross that threshold, that's when you start becoming the shitbag that everyone doesn't like. It's all right to sham every now and then, I'll take a little bit of time on this, I'll get around to it. Suspense isn't until next week, I'll wait. But oxygen thievery is frowned upon. I agree with this.
Yeah, as soon as you cease becoming useful, it's just
go apologize to that tree because of all the hard work it did to produce that oxygen for you to steal.
I've got a pretty sick work ethic, man. It's just I like my job. I like what I do. I like doing it, and I believe in the higher mission other than what I'm doing. You know, we got to meet schedule. We've got to sell our product, and it's got to work. And I do a good job, and I expect the people that work with me, for me, and around me to do the same and to give a shit. And it just sucks when, you know, I got a couple of guys or one guy in particular who will just, you know, I'm not going to come in today. I was, you know, he's got a side hustle. So his side hustle is taking precedence over his main job, the one that provides insurance and stuff. You know, but he'll go and customize cars and stuff on his own time, which is great. I mean, that's a great hobby. That's a great way to make some money. But when you stay up till 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning working on someone else's stuff, and then you don't show up for your other job, yeah, then I just get it's just it gets under my skin.
I can relate. I can't relate. I know, but I did work for a long time. But yeah, I know what it's like. But now I live the lazy life, and I'm the bum, so it works out.
It's not like you do nothing.
No. I keep myself busy. Try to, at least.
Doc Derek throws out the find a job you love and you'll never work a day in your life. That's cliche as hell, but it's true. It's true. I mean, if you love waking up every morning doing PT in the Army, that's
maybe that's what destroyed it for me, is because I love doing IT work. I love working with computers. I love figuring computers out. But man, like doing it I'll just say government, Big Brother, there's some idiots floating around that I don't even know how they get jobs. And it just drove me nuts, man. I couldn't handle the customer service side of it, I guess is what it was.
Or you got, I mean, as far as that IT stuff, I mean, you got to do something like what OPSEC Monkey does. You know, he's like this baller ass. He's a consultant, a security guy.
That's what I was actually shooting for, but you know, I gave up on it. I was just like, it was just to me. I love doing it as a hobby, and the work aspect of it was just too much.
Just seems to me that field is changing and evolving so fast that you really have to either specialize in something that's not going to be obsolete, like Java or what was the thing that Adobe had that just went offline?
Flash. Yeah. I have it like every Flash book known to man, and when I heard Flash was going extinct, I was like, well, I don't know what I'm going to do with these books. You know, I used to read constantly. You have to stay on top of it. You have to, you know, continual education on it. But like Windows 10 confuses me now. I used to be a pro with Windows, and now Windows 10, I'm just like, I'm not even gonna bother with it.
Yeah, but if anybody asked you a Windows 95 question, you'd be like, bam, I know this.
Yeah. if I went back in time to like 1993, I'd probably be like the #1 hacker in the world. So I mean, it's this technology just moves too fast for me. I can't keep up with it. I can't read like that anymore. My brain don't do its thing like it used to. So
there's so much to learn, and I'd like to get in and start learning it, but it's just, you know, a lot of our programmers, it's all it's not typing lines and lines and lines of code. It's all, you know, it's all a GUI. What do you want to do? I want to do this. Boom, drag that over to the screen. What do you want to do next? I want to do this. Okay, and then the program writes the code for you.
Yeah, it's evolved a lot.
Yeah.
Since when I first started, like assembly basic kind of C+ kind of thing, and now it's just like it's nuts to see how quick these guys could write these codes. Stuff.
Spanky says she used to use a floppy disk. I used to use the 5¼ inch floppies?
5x5, yeah.
Yeah. You want to make it double-sided, you just get one of those hole punchers and you punch the other side, and then you can flip the disc upside down. That's how I played Ultima 1.
Ultima Online, the original
Ultima 1, yeah. That's DOS-based on an Apple II or an Apple. It was an Apple. Yeah, we did that during the only computers that we had in our high school was in the library, and there was like 3 of them. And we'd go there during our open period. It was a homeroom.
Yeah, like Mac 2s when I went to school in our computer lab.
Damn.
They were just old school, play some Oregon Trail, kind of thing.
Oh,
it
yeah.
was fun, but
You have died of dysentery.
yeah, third grade kid trying to figure out what the heck is dysentery.
Well, then they go to Google. Then they go to Google and they type in dysentery, and then they can learn something.
But we didn't have Google back then. You had to go into a library and pull a card catalog out to find shit.
Nothing wrong with that. I can read the Dewey Decimal System.
Probably one of the few people on the planet in my generation that could probably still use a card catalog system.
And all they have now, I was at the library a couple weeks ago. They still have the card catalogs, but they're way in the back. If you want to look for a book, everything's computer.
Digital.
Yep.
Yeah, it's digital. I think the only reason why they keep the card catalog system is just in case like the systems go down and you need to organize shit, no?
Yeah. You get some Y2K catastrophe or an EMP, you can still find a book.
You can find your book.
You can still find a book. Anybody else out there know how to use a card catalog? It would just be weird. I mean, my kids know how only because I taught them how.
That was like basic learning. I think even in like first kindergarten, they started teaching us that crap. Like, here's how you use a card catalog system.
I don't know. When I went to college in I graduated in 2001, so I was in college probably 98, 97 through 2001. Heather knows how to. Woohoo!
Me.
Tina, there you go. Drew, there you go. But we were when we were doing programming, they were pushing like Fortran. They started at Fortran and moved forward. And we stopped at C+.
Yeah, C+ is pretty much like if you want to learn programming, C+ is like basic. Mm-hmm. If you learn basic, you can program in anything nowadays, I think, because they're all pretty similar. Syntax is a little different, but
yeah, we had
I stopped doing that. The typing thing started getting to me, especially with my hand being as messed up as it is. So it's just that typing wasn't my thing anymore.
Yeah, that's when you do voice to text.
Oh yeah, I could just see trying to troubleshoot some code with voice. I'd rather rip my eyeballs out.
Okay, so we're a bunch of veterans here at WTF Nation Radio. Most of our audience, most of our shows, I guess you could say, is for the veteran community, but it's for everybody. A lot of the words that we use are veteran centric. Just some of the phrases that we just unconsciously use are just veterans will get, and a civilian who has no military experience would kind of go, huh? And they have to think about it for a little bit. And we have a lot of veteran causes that we support. War Horses for Veterans is one of them. And there's a lot of really, really great charities out there and 501c3s. And we have them on the show. They are vetted extensively by our front desk, which consists of Spanky and Mom and a couple other folks. But every once in a while you get a bad one. There's a little bad apple. Where is this guy? Okay, so a nonprofit that sought and collected donations, and you guys have probably seen this all over the. And I'm not saying that every charity is like this at all. I'm just talking about a specific one, but there's a lot of charities out there that ask for money to get calling cards for the troops. Everybody's probably seen it. I've taken advantage of that when I was overseas. So a nonprofit that sought and collected donations supposedly for paid phone cards for veterans and their families was ordered by a Minnesota court Thursday to shut down after the state attorney general's office found that the charity fraudulently collected hundreds of thousands of dollars. Along with closing operations, Colorado-based TREA, or the Retired Enlisted Association Memorial Foundation, must come up with more than $400,000 that will be distributed to legitimate veteran support groups in the state. And that's all according to the Minnesota Attorney General's office, which prevailed in the Ramsey County District Court. The foundation proved in court that they did not purchase a single phone card to veterans or their families for years, all while it collected hundreds of thousands of dollars in contributions from Minnesotans. Don't you know? So TREA is based in Centennial, Colorado. They agreed to the settlement. So TREA has 60 days to pay out the money to veterans-related charities that have yet to be identified. And then they have 90 days to close shop for good. So I'm glad that these knuckleheads got hemmed up, because that just it's not a veteran-run charity. It's just a charity. Some dude who's running a charity. Groups of people. I mean, they're based in Colorado. They're very huge. They since 2018, they've collected more than $14 million. For various things under various other, I'm not saying everything that they did was fraudulent. This is just what they got caught with. So that was kind of shocking. It was sad. It was really sad, because the United States, we're super generous. And then you start throwing in the veteran thing. Hey, we're going to get, care packages for the troops, or, calling cards for the troops so they can call home or whatever. And then you breach that trust by they collected all this cash and didn't buy a damn card with it. Since 2018 is when their campaign, their calling card campaign, went out, and they didn't buy a single one. So that's sad. It is sad.
That's the reason why it screws with people, like wanting to give the charity. You get iffy and start distrusting a lot of organizations because of this crap.
Yeah, I usually stick to the known good ones. I do Red Cross. I do Horses for Veterans.
St. Jude's the big one that I like to donate to.
St. Jude's is a good one. But it's hard. I mean, let's just say you come up with someone who says, yeah, I've got a charity. And I think if you're 501c3, you have a little bit more credibility. You have a lot more credibility, actually. I mean, because you do have to jump through a lot of hoops. You do have to have
through hoops of fire to get that.
Yes. I mean, I think maybe they did, and then they kind of skated on. They're like, hey, if we're collecting money for this and that and this, let's pad our pockets for. I don't want to put myself into the mind of a schemer like that, because it's just I'm just going to get pissed. It just pisses me off. I don't like any company wherever, whatever their mission is, whatever their mission statement is, that lies and cheats like this, and then dishonors the veterans or the active service members, and pockets the cash. And those are my words, as opposed to buying a freaking $20 calling card. You know how much that means to people to be able to call their families?
Just to be able to call home in the middle of combat zone. Yeah, that's great.
It's great. I look forward to it, every couple days, man. You hear that voice from home, and it kind of, settles the nerves, and then you continue mission.
Go back to dragging your dick in the dirt.
or doing whatever you're doing. So I got some Corona news, but I don't like, everyone's like, oh yeah, we got so many are positive, and there's so many deaths and dying, and you can walk outside and you're not going to step over mountains of bodies.
Surprised we don't have like a ticker like some of the big media guys got, like to stay glued to the screen 24/7.
It's like the doomsday clock.
It's like
the national debt clock or something.
what did they do right after 9/11? The threat assessment, the terroristic threat assessment. We're stuck at orange. It stayed at that thing stayed at orange. I think
we actually have one of those outside of my plant. Every once in a while, the wind will come around and it just rips it off of the fence. We have some pretty strong winds here, and it'll lay on the ground for days, and then someone will put it back up. They just hold it. It's held on to the gate by zip ties. So, they're the sun will bake them, and then the zip ties will break, and it'll just lay on the ground. It'll kill the grass. It'll lay on the ground so long that it'll kill the grass underneath it, and then it'll.
So no one cares that much about it that it kills the grass. Oh, you gave me.
So what are we? Are we at? Where are we at? Yellow, orange? We're at yellow or green?
I don't know. We're probably at red right now after all that crap that happened in Syria.
You think Biden knows that happened?
No, he was probably half asleep when everything started kicking off.
So I heard Kamala didn't know that was going to happen.
How are you the vice president?
I heard she wasn't in the loop when Biden made the call. What the hell are they bombing? I don't know.
It was the Iranian militants in Syria is what it was. And they're on high alert in Iraq right now.
Yeah,
so they're afraid.
Someone's going to start lobbing missiles,
shooting mortars at nothing.
I don't know. When I was over there, all we had to worry about was the random daily mortar. Well, it's serious. I mean, it wasn't just one mortar; it was a bunch of mortars. But every day,
usually start at like 11 p.m.
Yep.
Well, depending on where you're at, there's usually a set time, and then you hear the first one, and you're like, okay, it's this time. You know, on the your biological clock, it's like, hey, it's 11 o'clock at night. All right, cool. And then you'd hear it go on for about 2-3 hours, and it would stop.
And that was about it. It never really hit anything. A lot of times,
they were the generators. They would hit the generators. That seemed like what they were going for most of the time. It's like, let's knock their power out.
when I was in Kirkuk and we were full, we had the full air base. They would aim at the airfield. Then we reduced our footprint. They stopped aiming at the air base and they were aiming for the DFAC. So they erected a roof above the roof, and it was reinforced. So that they could take a direct hit, and it might knock some dust off of it. It was nothing major. But anyway, it was all mortars, and now it's rockets. I mean, it's legit rockets. We didn't have any. We had one rocket attack, and that was, I think it was a SAM fired at a C-130 that was taken off from the airfield, and that was it. Evasive maneuvers, and it was done. It didn't get hit. That was the only rocket attack that we had there. Everything else was mortars.
Well, that's why we had the T-walls set up for rocket attacks. Because of the angle they come at. The mortars, we'd put like sandbags and shit on top of our cheese and crap, just to hope it slow it down a little bit.
We had chews and we had sandbags, but we had HESCOs. If things got fucking serious, everyone jumps into the HESCO.
HESCO barriers everywhere.
Yeah. But then those were all used. I mean, we got so bored. No one ever went into the HESCOs. We used that to store our water. We put our pallets of water in the HESCOs. Because everyone was just, I mean, my first day in theater when I got there, mortar, the incoming alarm would go off and it'd be like, oh my God. Make sure my vest is on, get under my bed. And then I'm like, this is fucking stupid. The alarm goes off. You listen
to the DFAC, you're an alarm kicking off. You're just like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Well, it was kind of funny, man. Because then, like after a week, you hear incoming, and you go, okay, you wait, you hear the impact. Oh, they're way off. And then you just go about your business. We did have a direct hit in our chew area that fucked some people up, but other than that, man, it's just it was nothing, man. They have horrible aim. They don't have a good mortar team.
No, that's just the way they would rig their mortars up. They wouldn't be anywhere close to the tube because they knew our artillery would be like pinpoint on top of them at that point.
Yeah, we had OH-58s that would fly low and Apaches that would fly high. And the OH-58s would find them, but it was never a team there. It was either a mobile mortar, like a couple guys in the back of a truck launching mortars, so you're not going to get any kind of accuracy. 8 times out of 10, they would overshoot our airfield, and they would hit the village on the other side of the airfield. They wouldn't even hit us. They would hit their own folks. But they would have several times, like when it was really hot outside, they would have like ice in a mortar tube, and the mortar on top of the ice would melt, and the mortar would fall down and hit the firing pin, and then go. And then by the time our guys got there, just like there was nothing left, because there were no people there.
Nope, that's how they did it.
Anyway, let's talk about COVID-19, the Rona.
What's this Rona? I think a beer.
The Corona. Let me look at this. See that guy? That guy's got a lot of money. And he's got a lot of foundations. He actually owns a university. He had an event. More than 24 people came down with COVID-19 after attending a summit hosted by the founder of a COVID vaccine development company.
So he had a super spreader event.
Dr. Peter Diamandis hosted an event at the offices of one of his tech companies in Culver City, California, in West LA. Hundreds took part online, but at least 80 people, partly without masks, participated in person. Dr. Diamandis had promised that it would be safe. He enlisted a team of doctors to be on site and provided regular tests. So you go to you're doing this thing, you're at this event, and you're like, hey, I'm going to go get tested. So you go and get tested. And you're like, dude, you're negative. So you go back to the bar, you grab a drink, you go dancing, and you're having a good time with whomever, and it's like, you know what, I'm going to go get tested again. And then you're negative again. I don't know why a team of doctors would have to be there for multiple testings and whatever. That's just whatever flashed through my mind when I found that. So Dr. he promised it would be safe, but nearly 3 weeks after the conference, at least 24 people, including Dr. Diamandis, have tested positive for COVID-19. He said, quote, I thought creating a COVID, quote, within the quote, immunity, he called it an immunity bubble for a small group of for a small group of people in a TV studio setting was very, very possible. I was wrong. I am very humbled and I am pained from what I learned about this event. As the January conference began, indoor gatherings had been banned, all but banned in the States, until California's ICU capacity ticked over 15%. Dr. Diamandis is the owner of numerous space companies and Singularity University, the Silicon Valley Innovation Hub, and they also helped to organize this exclusive. It was called the Abundance 360 Summit. For the past 9 years, this summit, around 400 entrepreneurs usually attend to discuss topics like artificial intelligence, robotics. Those who want to attend the event must apply as if they are chosen, and if they are chosen, they must pay over $30,000 to be there. This dude is rolling in cash, and he's got it. I mean, he's got a hustle.
A 3D printed bow tie. I mean, come on.
He's got a hustle is what he's got. Initially, this year's conference was going to be 100% virtual, hosted at an LA hotel. But organizers changed the arrangements to allow 80 guests to be there in person. And then there were hundreds more online, moving the summit to offices of the X Prize Foundation, Dr. Diamandis' other nonprofit organization. This organization has launched a program that awards $6 million to COVID testing solutions. So this guy is in charge. He has a company that is their job is to create a COVID vaccine, and then How many people got infected? Of 80 people that were there. What was the number I threw out there? Of 80 people that were there. Dun, dun, dun. $80 people. Of the 80 people, was there 37?
I'm just taking a wild guess. It sounds like a number that would make sense to me.
I don't know if it said a number, but there were 80 people there, and a bunch of them came down, including this guy. So that sucks.
Well, the best wishes to you guys.
Well, obviously they've recovered and nobody died.
Well, it works out.
So I don't know. I'm still, I've got a bad taste in my mouth about this fella. He owns and operates a university, several nonprofits, several other companies. He's just kind of, it seems to me, and I don't know this for a fact, just seems to me that it would be it's like a shell game. He's playing a shell game with money. I mean, we all do that to a point, but not in the I don't have many numbers preceding the decimal. This guy's got a lot of numbers preceding his decimal. Good for him. I don't shame anybody for being super duper rich.
I'm not gonna hate on him. It's just I just find it ironic that all these filthy rich people have these these massive do as I say not as I do as I say not as I do parties. Certain governors have been caught doing it. Certain senators have been caught doing it. Don't go out in public. Don't hang out with your friends. Don't go meet with your family during Thanksgiving. And then they have these charity events that they pay to get corona.
Well, we did a story on was it in California? It wasn't Gavin Newsom. It was like a contributor or a supporter or not a supporter, but a someone high ranking in the support structure of Gavin Newsom was had this like a whole family. I mean, everyone's like gathered around a table, no masks. Everyone's just having a good old time, and in the meantime, the governor of California was shutting down small businesses and restaurants and everything else. I'm fortunate. Living in Texas, not much has changed. I don't know if I'd be able to handle living in a state where they say you can't go out and exercise, or you can't take a walk in the park, you can't go ride your bike, you can't do these things unless you're fully masked up. Here it's just like if you're going into a business, mask up. If you're going to be in close proximity to the other person, mask up. I have to wear a mask at work if I'm within 6 feet of someone else. Other than that, it's just, do your freaking job. Tyler Alexander says, those rules only apply to us peasants. I agree. I mean,
I know they're finally opening up things come Monday in this state.
By opening up, what do you mean? Schools? Or?
The bars are like completely open. They're back to normal schedule. Some of the things that just didn't make sense to me, like why? Well, the coronavirus only comes out after 10 p.m. for some reason.
Oh, you mean the
stupid things like
the curfew? The curfew before?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's nice to see a lot of the restaurants around here are really happy. It's convenient though. It's coming close to the beginning of tourist season here, and all of a sudden now everything opens up. So we'll find out. They'll probably have us closed down by the end of tourist season.
So I'm still in line to get the Rona vaccination. I haven't gotten.
My grandfather got his second today, which I'm happy about.
How is he doing? I mean, did that have any?
He had no side effects whatsoever.
My mom,
I know of.
My mom and dad had it, and they said that the first shot was fine. The second shot, after the second shot, they were down for a day, and then they were back up. They woke up the next day, and it was like nothing happened.
Oh, he seemed fine today, so I mean, we'll find out in the next day or so. I'm just glad he got it. And yeah, I'm actually really happy he got it.
Was he fighting it? Was he on the fence? Because I'm on the fence still.
Oh, he was all about it. He's done survived cancer, and
Oh, okay.
so he was like, the cancer didn't even scare me as much as this the coronavirus does, because he's like, the last thing I want to do is die in like my own spit, pretty much. And I was like, I could feel you on that. And,
I mean, you've lived a long life and you've done cool things and you've raised a family who have raised families, and you're gonna get taken out by the little virus.
yeah. So I mean, I'm glad he got it, and he went through the VA and got it, and I'm happy for him. I'm waiting. I'll just wait till everything settles down, because it's just this whole system of them administering it just blows my mind. I'm completely against it. They should have done a lottery and then went with age groups.
A lottery, just say,
do it like a draft, pull birthdays out, and if your birthday's on here, you get priority in the line until
just random ass stuff.
Randomly pull birthdays. If you're in this group and your birthday's on this day, you're first in line to get the shot.
I would have supported that. I would have done healthcare workers first and then a lottery for everyone else. Cool. Hey, it's top of the hour. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to have Derek Jones here. I'm going to play one of Derek Jones's, one of his songs from his earlier EP. It's called Pray. So hang on. Enjoy his music, man. It's really cool. The song Pray, the first time I heard it, I listened to not even half of it, and I'm like, okay, this is cool. And then I listened to it for the first time all the way through today. I listened to the words, I listened to the music, and a little tear came out of my eye. So it was, dude's got good music, man. He's got really, really, really good music. So enjoy this break, and we'll be back in just a little bit.
WTF Nation Radio. WTF Nation Radio. WTF Nation Radio.
WTF Nation Radio.
Hey, Mia, you better hide your baby, or you better hide that big ass boy.
You do during your break.
Can someone reply to Derek? Can you reply to him, Spank? Oh, you can't see the. Can you see the chat?
No, I can't unless you add me to that chat, because it's on the station's account, not mine.
Oh. Call me. There he is.
All righty.
Here he comes. Wait.
There we are.
Oh, you're there. Okay, it said missed call. I'm like, oh gosh, here we go. All right, Derek, I'm gonna make sure all my settings are correct, and I'm gonna bring you got your cam rolling.
Yeah. I'm good to go.
Okay. Sometimes tech is really hard. Right now, it seems to be very hard. So how you doing, Derek? My name is Kaz. This is WTF Nation Radio, and thank you for agreeing to come on our show, man. I appreciate you so much.
Yeah, brother. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. It's nice to have the exposure and the following. So I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
I'm amazed by your voice. I've got a list of questions, but dude, I was listening to some of your songs yesterday, and I listened to Pray, and I liked it a lot.
Right
and then I listened to Last of a Dying Breed, and it's 10 times, your voice is 10 times better.
Right on. Well, that means I'm evolving and I'm doing something right, I guess, right? But thank you.
It was I don't know. It was just incredible. It was like a night. It wasn't night and day. It's just it was an evolving voice. I'm like, dude, your range is a lot better.
Yeah. So it's funny that you say that, because with Last of a Dying Breed, I had an idea of what I wanted it to sound like before we recorded it, as far as vocal wise.
Mm-hmm.
And that part where it's like, I am the land, and it goes up and up and up. It was really hard to get up there and get some of those notes, to be honest with you.
It was high. It was high. You had a really good range.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
I'm not seeing. You got video rolling?
I should have, yeah.
Okay.
I see myself anyway.
Okay, I'm going to pull this in. I promise. So while I try to do this, I was doing a little research on you, and I was really sad to learn that you died almost a year ago. How are you feeling? How are you feeling now?
Better than ever.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do, because I woke up to several people tagging me on Facebook and my fan page, and tons of people messaging me saying, say it's not so. Are you okay? And then my phone's blowing up, and I'm like, what is going on? And then I found out that there was a Derek Jones in like a punk band, like a guitarist, I think.
I started reading his bio, and it's like it's like postmodern punk and hardcore and deathcore, and I'm like, that really doesn't sound like the person that we're having on the air tonight.
No, but man, the guy's had a great career. That's for sure. He's done a lot of cool stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Same thing. I'm like, well, who is this guy? And then read his bio and all his attributes and stuff, and I was like, man, this guy's had a pretty solid career. Good for him. But terrible, did it so quick.
So tell me about, you're from a small town in Indiana.
I am, yeah.
Population, I looked it up last night, and it was about 6,000 plus or minus.
That sounds about right. In the city limits, probably about right.
Farming community, tight-knit?
Yeah, I would say it's very tight-knit. It's definitely the kind of place you go to the grocery store, and it'll take you a half hour just to get butter because you're going to run into 10 people that you know.
And everybody knows your business, and it's just it's a big family, I guess.
Yeah, everybody knows everybody, or knows somebody in everybody else's circle. I love it. I lived in Nashville for right at 11 years, and one of the things that I missed the most was that I missed just going to the grocery store and running into people that I graduated with, people that I knew. I did miss that. I missed the small town feel of Hartford City, and I love that town. I'm proud of that town, and it's a good city. It really is. It's tiny, but big heart, that's for sure.
So I looked it up on the map, and just for geographic purposes, you're like halfway between. I forgot what I looked at yesterday. It was
Fort Wayne. About halfway in between Indianapolis and Fort Wayne.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Because I was looking at Dayton. You're kind of in that big weird triangle and stuff. But yeah.
Actually, I currently live in a city just south of Hartford, like 7 miles south. Muncie, Indiana is where I live now. But most of my family still live in Hartford City.
So tell me about, you decided one day to join the Navy.
I did. I come from a very, hey, there's a video. Got myself now. So I come from a very military, deep family, I guess you could say. I had uncles that served, tons of cousins that served. Both of my grandparents served. Both of my older brothers served. So I kind of knew right around freshman, sophomore year in high school, I kind of knew that I was wanting to go to the military. Mainly, I love to travel. There's a big world out there that I wanted to see. And I knew that the best way to do that was probably to join the Navy, because I watched both of my older brothers do it. And they enjoyed their time in the service. So, yeah, I think I left for boot camp. Man, probably 3-4 weeks after I graduated high school, and then did my 4 years. I was stationed in San Diego on the USS Duluth for 4 years.
Was all your time sea time?
Yeah, I was on the ship for 4 years, and I did 2 Westpacks, and then we also I spent some time off the coast in Iraq during Operation Iraqi Freedom, and that was right before I had gotten out. I got out in 2003, joined in '99, got out in 2003. So
that was a really good time to be in, if you were in.
Yeah, it was okay. The last part was not, because that's when the whole, Operation Iraqi Freedom, the Iraq War, and all that stuff was getting pretty intense over there at that time. So,
what was your job? What did you do?
So I was a machinist mate And basically what that is, and I need to talk to my recruiter about this because I feel like he kind of lied to me.
You didn't fly jets.
I didn't. So what's funny is before I joined the military, I was in the delayed entry program. So I think as a sophomore, it was either sophomore or junior year, I had signed up to be in the delayed entry and agreed to go. And my recruiter was like, "Oh, what do you like to do?" And I'm like, "I like working with my hands, like fixing stuff, working on engines." And he's like, "Oh, you're gonna love being a machinist mate." I'm like, that sounds great, working on these huge engines, But they didn't tell you that it's 4 million degrees down in this boiler room, engine room, and you're down there for 8 hours at a time, and it was just terrible, to be honest.
And it's not air conditioned.
Oh, absolutely not. It was terrible. Like and you had to wear these fire retardant coveralls that were like 5 inches thick. It was terrible.
What kind of ship did you serve on?
So I was on, we called it a Gator freighter. It was like a Marine taxi. So we had a bunch of Marines on my ship, and we actually took the first group of Marines over to Iraq. So yeah, it was a LPD it was the class of the ship, but it was pretty neat, man. I didn't realize until I left how much I truly loved it. I really loved the camaraderie that you have when you're in the military. And being a vet is quite special as well, especially when you run into other veterans and you swap stories, and it's pretty neat, man. I'm very proud of my service, and I love this country. I'd do it all over again if I could.
And you say that very shamelessly, like everybody here does. I wouldn't trade anything, all the experiences, both good and bad, and different, for the experience that I had. I loved it. I was in from 88 to 96, and then I went back as a civilian in 2010. I went to Iraq, and it was just I belong with these guys. They might not be my guys, but they're my guys.
Yeah.
And it was great. It was great. It was an itch that I had, and I scratched it, and I'm proud to have done it. I'm proud to have served. I had good days and bad days, but. I really don't remember the bad ones. I remember all the good ones.
For sure. And that's how I was. You say, like, while you're in, like when I was in, I couldn't wait to get out.
Exactly.
I couldn't wait to get out. And I kept thinking, like, I'm never going to be a lifer. I'm ready to get out. And the whole reason, honestly, why I wanted to get out was all of my buddies were back home, going through college and partying and still hanging out, and it's like, man, I wanted to be there. So that's the whole entire reason why I got out, is I was ready to come back home with my friends and my family. And then honestly, that turned into me picking up a guitar. I never even touched a guitar until after my military days.
Did you have any musical training or an inclination toward music? Played in the band in high school?
Definitely no. I didn't have any training. I can't read music. I play everything by ear, but I grew up in a very musical family. And this is like a typical country song, I feel like. My grandma...
Take notes, man. Take notes.
Right. My grandma played organ and piano in the church, and sang in a choir. And my dad, still is an amazing drummer. So, growing up, I was constantly surrounded by music. We always had music, even if we were at the supper table eating. We had some kind of music playing in the background. Most of the time it was like Allman Brothers, Marshall Tucker, stuff like that. And then I got my first drum set. I think I was 15. And that's when I really started like loving music, loving to play. And then once I left for the military, I didn't touch the drums hardly at all, and got out of the military in 2003, started going to college at a local community college in Muncie. And I was living with two of my buddies, and we threw parties quite a bit. And two of my other friends, Red and Jesse Hornbaker, dude, they'd come over to my house and bring their guitars. And I remember saying, if I ever learn how to play guitar, I don't think I'll ever put it down. And I just wanted to do it so bad. I was mesmerized by watching them two make music. So,
what's the first song you learned?
Simple Man, Leonard Skinner.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That was probably the first song I ever learned. I don't know if you can hear my daughter in the background. She's awake and ready to eat.
How old is she?
She was just born. She's 30 days old.
Wow! Congratulations.
Thank you, man. Thank you. She's healthy and got a big old set of lungs on her.
That's quite all right. Oh, there she is.
I learned Simple Man by Skinner first, and I can remember it like it was yesterday. And then I learned, of course, Sweet Home Alabama. And then I learned Simple Man by Charlie Daniels.
Okay.
I don't know if you've heard the Charlie Daniels.
Oh, yeah. I have, yes.
Those were the first three songs that I learned, mainly because it's the same G, C, and D. 3 chords and the truth is what they say, right?
I saw your T-shirt. 3 chords of the truth, man. That's great.
Yeah, for sure. I believe in that.
So what made you think that, hey, I might have a shot? I'm good at this. I can, because you said that you used to, while you were in the Navy, you used to just write lyrics or write poems, poetry, and just think it would never evolve into anything.
Right. No, not really. I mean, I used to write a little bit. I never thought anything of it.
Yeah.
Because there was a few guys that would read my stuff and they would be like, "Hey, can you write something for my wife?" And then I'll say I wrote it. I'm like, that's fine, man.
I need your words.
For real, right? So, and then I just started. I did that, and then it wasn't, honestly, man. Once I started playing guitar and singing, and I ended up, playing, learning how to play and sing at the same time.
That's hard. I can't do it.
See, to me, because that's how I learned. To me, it wasn't hard. But there's guys now that I play with that they can't sing and play at the same time. But because that's how I've taught myself, to me, it was just kind of secondhand nature. But I started learning how to play, and there was this bar that I used to drive by on my way to class. It's called the Mr. Mouse in Yorktown, Indiana. And there was this big poster out front that said, "Open jam session every Thursday." And I thought, man, that'd be so much fun to get in on that. I'm going to go to it. And I knew like a handful of songs.
And you knew a handful of chords, G, C, and D?
G, C, and D. And that was about it. And I'll never forget, I walked into the bar and there was like 7 people in there. And they all turned their heads and they were like, "Who are you? And why did you just walk in this bar?" It was one of those like small town bars, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I walked up, there was no music. I walked up to the bartender and I'm like, "I'm here for open jam. Are they not doing it tonight?" She said, "Well, I don't know. We've never had anybody show up for it."
Oh,
okay.
This is the start of a good story. This is the start of a good song, actually.
So she said, "Go talk to the cook." So I went and talked to the cook, dude named Rick D. He's like, "Yeah, man, I'll have to get the equipment out and we'll set everything up." So I ended up playing, and I came back every Thursday for probably a good month. I was there every Thursday, and then the owner of the bar sat me down, and she said, "We're starting to get a lot of phone calls wanting to know if that guy's going to be up there playing."
What do we call you?
Right. So she's like, we kind of want you to stick around. Would you like to have your own night? And I was like, "Oh my God, yeah, absolutely." And she said, "Well, what would you charge?" I had no idea, to be honest. I was like,
"What am I supposed to charge? I don't know."
"Well, how long do you want me to play?" And she's like, "You can play for as long as you want." And I said, "Well, how about $50 and free drinks?" And she's like, "That's the deal." So then, I was playing there for a while, and then another bar owner would come in and saw me, and she'd say, "I want you to play at my bar. How much would you charge?" And I thought, well, if I'm getting 50 here, let's see if I can get 100 over here. Then she'd, "Yeah, we'll do 100. So each time I would get a different gig, I would always like raise to see if I could get more money. And it was about after probably 6 months of doing that, I was playing 6 nights a week. And I thought, man, I really have something here. I love doing this. I'm making pretty good money for a college kid. I think I want to move to Nashville. So I waited about...
That's so dangerous.
Right. I waited about 2 years after I had started playing. And I packed everything up, moved to Nashville, had nothing loaded. Literally just took a car, a guitar, and my clothes. Lived in a hotel for right about 4 months, I think. And then actually landed a job driving a semi truck for Pepsi, delivering Pepsi products. And that kind of got me on my feet, and I just kept hustling. And I knew I had to make it because I didn't have a plan B. I didn't want a plan B. I was always plan A. If plan A don't work, then plan A it is. So we're going with plan A. And there's no other option. I'm not going to fail. And that's kind of the mentality I have is, you know, people say, oh, I hope you hit it big one day. And I always feel like I've already kind of hit it big. I've never wanted to be a big star. I've never wanted to be famous. Could care less about being famous, to be honest. I've always said, if I can make a living at it, and if I can put food on my table and provide for my family, to me, that's hitting it big. So I've hit it big.
And that covers my first real question. I said Nashville is notorious for chewing up an aspiring country musician or any musician for that matter, and just shattering their dreams and leaving them by the wayside. How did a man from a small farming community in Indiana navigate his way through it? You probably went there and said, okay, here I am. And they said, who the hell are you?
Right.
So you drove a truck and you hustled on the side.
I did. I hustled on the side. When I was living in a hotel, you know, I didn't have a job. So I went down on Broadway and I would I'd open up my guitar case and basically beg for money on the street and hope that tourists would throw a few dollars in my guitar case. But it's definitely, it is a town that will chew you up and spit you out, and it'll crush your dreams, but you can't allow it to do that. I knew I was going to fail, and I'm totally fine with failing. I've been told no a million times. All it takes is that one yes. All it takes is that one person to give you a shot. And it can happen. It does happen. It happened to me, and I'm very grateful, and I'm blessed because of that. But you can't quit. You really can't. And I've seen so many of my friends go down there and just get torn up, and they tuck their tail and they go back home.
It's like someone who was taken, who went through acting classes or went through like a performing arts academy and going, I'm going to LA. I'm going to be a movie star. Right. And you're either a movie star or you end up on the streets, or you go back home. You tuck tail and you go home. Right. What was the point when you were in Nashville where you said, okay, here it is. Things are starting to click. Did you make contacts with? I mean, you had to have made contacts with a lot of folks. Someone must have seen you who knew somebody or whatever.
I did. So kind of the way it started to happen for me is, I always thought that it's not the quality, it's not the quantity of song or shows that you play. You can go down there and play 500 shows in a day and not get seen. To me, it was more about finding the places to play where other guys hung out.
Yeah.
That were looking.
Where do musicians go? Where do successful musicians go to hang out and to decompress?
Right. Yep, absolutely. And I'll never forget, I was delivering Pepsi way out in this town, man. And it's like way out in the boonies. It's called Leaper's Fork, Tennessee. And I pulled up to this restaurant, grocery store, gas station, bar, nightclub. I mean, it was like all of
/ post office, sheriff's department.
Like, wow. It was, and I walked in and I remember looking like, what is this place? Delivered the product to it. And I turned around to go walking out and I saw a sign that said open mic every Thursday. It's kind of the same deal with in Yorktown. So I went back to the house, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to go all the way back out there and see what it's all about. And I got there, and this place was ungodly packed, unbelievably packed. And I got signed up, and I was like number 35, I think. I ended up going around midnight, but I fell in love with the place because the talent that was in there was ridiculous. It was unbelievable. The food's phenomenal too. That helped.
You're a foodie. Yes.
I'm a total foodie, man. Yes, I'm a food junkie. So I did the same thing. I just kept going back to this place every Thursday. And there was one Thursday night, I had just got done doing my 2 songs, and this guy come up, little short, stocky guy. He come up to me. He goes, "I really like your style." I said, "Oh, thank you." He goes, "I'm Brian. My name's Brian Fisher." I said, "Oh, I'm Derek Jones. It's nice to meet you." And he kind of looked at me like, "You should know who I am." Kind of one of those things. He said, "Man, can I get your number?" I said, "Sure," and gave him my number. He said, I got an idea, man. I'm going to call you." And the very next day he called and he said, "My name's Brian Fisher. I've got a show on the Discovery Channel called Fisher's ATV World. This is what we do. Would you be interested in writing me a song for my show?" I said, "Yeah, absolutely." Went over to his house, ended up becoming super close and good friends with this guy. And he said he's doing this fan appreciation show and party in Pennsylvania. Wants me to come out there with Tyler Farr and do a show for his fans. And there was a ton of people there. It was a blast. But he had his film crew there as well. And after the show, it was an outdoor show. After the show, we were all behind the stage. We had a campfire going and buses were parked and we were partying a little bit. There's a guy sitting right next to me, big burly guy. He kind of nudges me. He goes, "Where'd you say you were from?" I said, "Well, I'm from Indiana, but I live in White Bluff, Tennessee, just outside of Nashville." He said, "Oh, I live out in Thompson Station." And ended up being Billy Ray Cyrus's little brother.
Oh, man.
Him and I became very close. I mean, he was my best friend for many, many, many years. And I didn't know he was Billy's brother at that point. It was not till a while later that I knew he was Billy's brother. But that's how the connection got made with Billy. And then, I became super close with Billy. He treated me like part of the family. Spent the holidays with him. Went to the kids' birthday party. One of the questions I always get asked is, "Did you ever meet Miley Cyrus?" I did. Went to her birthday party. And I'll never forget, another good friend of mine plays guitar for Eric Church. And I was talking to him at the party. And he said, "Man, are you still driving your truck for Pepsi?" And I said, "I am." And I said, "Man, I'm curious, like, when do you know you can walk away from your job and do music full time?"
God, that's a great question.
And he said, "Man, it's terrifying." He said, "It really is. It's absolutely terrifying to walk away from your safety net. Like, you have a guaranteed income." And he said, "The reason I knew is because I was passing up more shows than I was passing up basically more money than I would have made at the job doing music." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I stewed on that, man, for quite a while. And I'll never forget, like, I just went into work one day and it was like God just took over and he walked me into my boss's office. I put in my 2-week notice. I had no plan whatsoever.
Did they try to keep you?
Yes and no. You know, the thing about me is I'm very honest. I'm very upfront. I'm very transparent. Everyone knew this was a stepping stone for me. I'm not going to make a career out of slinging Pepsis. I'm not. It was a stepping stone for me. I made that very well known. So they knew that music was my priority. And, you know, the thing about being like that is, too, that I always got told, "Well, if it don't work out, we'll have you back." Never burn a bridge. So anyway, I put in my 2-week notice, and I'll never forget, I was freaking out because I had nothing lined up other than playing in Nashville for tips. I mean, you can go to Nashville, play 6 shows, and walk out with $4. It just depends on if you get tips or not. And I'll never forget, it was about a day or two after I was done, and I was playing a show, and Billy Ray's little brother called. And he said, "Hey, man, you sitting down?" I said, "Yeah."
Oh, no.
He goes, "Dude, Billy's putting together a tour for this year, and he wants you on it." And I said, "Do what?" And he said, Billy's putting together a tour, and he wants you to be his opening act. You'll travel with the band, this, that, and the other. And I had been working with Billy for probably 6 months before that. Nothing was ever said. We just wrote and recorded together.
But you were comfortable with him. I mean, it was a comfortable environment.
Yeah, absolutely. I was very comfortable with him. But never, ever did I ever say, like, "Hey, man, I don't have a job. Can you hook me up with something, anything?" But what it was is he heard my EP that was coming out, Pray, which you talked about.
Yeah.
And I guess he fell in love with it, and he wanted to help me out, and he put together a tour. So we toured for the first full year. I think that was like 2017 maybe. And then we did it again in 2018. Then we did it again in 2019, somewhere around there. But it was about almost 4 years I toured with Billy. And then what I noticed with that was it was kind of like having a full-time job. I was with Billy, but then I was also passing up other stuff as well that I felt like could have been a little more beneficial for my music career.
Did you give Billy a 2-week notice?
Honestly, I did not. That was a decision I don't know that I would have been able to make, to be honest. God made that decision for me because we were in Vegas playing a run of shows. We had a residency at the New Orleans, or the Orleans house. And I had a photo shoot for my own music. And we were in the desert, and the photographer brought a skateboard. I don't know if you've ever been in the desert.
A skateboard in the desert doesn't equal.
Not at all. But roads were paved. They were asphalt. However, when you're in the desert and you're standing on top of what you'd think is not a very big hill, that very big, small hill is what you think, has a very small incline, but it's a very long. And I took off on this skateboard, and I got going a little too fast, and got to the point where I knew I was going too fast, and it was either I'm going to ride or die, one of the two. And I rode it, and it gave me the case of the wobbles, wobbled me off. I broke my arm. And that's when Billy's people decided to basically let me go from the tour. And they made a decision for me that I would not have made. So that forced me to go out on my own, and that was the best thing. I always say breaking my arm was one of the best things that's ever happened to me.
It's crazy how the universe works.
Very, very odd. And what's even crazier is after that, I got rid of my management. I got rid of my booking agent. I was kind of a free agent. But I had been in contact with a dude named Patrick Gear from High Gear Promotions. And I met him several years before at a show because he's a promoter, and he was promoting one of our Billy Ray Cyrus shows. And him and I hit it off, and we've stayed in touch. And I called him up. I said, man, I'm no longer with Billy. I'm no longer with Kincaid Agency. I'm no longer with Mickey Productions. I'm kind of a free agent. Is there anything, can you point me in the right direction? Like, I'm needing some help. He took over as my acting manager, dude, and he has been absolutely killing it. I'm very, very grateful. So yes, it's very odd how the universe works, and you never know who you're going to cross paths with.
And it's all about networking. It's because, I mean, it's not like you're not a gobbler of, I'm going to take over the world. It's just, I'm going to do my thing. If you like it, great. If you don't, that's fine. And then Billy took you under his wing. And I want you to say this because I know the answer to this question. What's the best piece of advice that you've received regarding being in the entertainment industry?
Honestly, the best piece of advice that I got, I mean, it's kind of cliche, but it was, don't stop. I was told that so many times, don't stop. And there were so many times where it was just, I was so ready to pack my bags and come back home because I was tired of getting kicked in the face by all these no's or we're not interested. And I'm so glad that I didn't stop because I'm where I'm at today, and I love where I'm at today. I'm in love with my life. I've got a beautiful family. I feel very blessed. I don't say lucky. I don't ever say I feel very lucky because I worked my ass off to get where I'm at. So I feel very blessed.
So since COVID hit, in-person live music is pretty much on hold. Tell me about your performance at the Lerner Theater.
Oh, you saw that, huh?
Oh, yeah, I did.
That was, it was very eerie, I guess.
There must have been thousands there. Tell me, how many people were there?
Oh, you're talking about...
No. I'm talking about the Lerner Theater one where there was like zero people there.
Yeah, it was completely empty.
That was so good. So good.
It was probably I'm trying to figure out how I want to say this. One of the most eerily beautiful things I've ever done, to be honest.
That's probably how I would describe it. It was so good, and there was nobody there.
Yeah, it was. The only people that were there was me and the sound guy.
Yeah.
And the natural reverb that was in this theater was phenomenal. And I'll never forget, like I walked in and I was just sitting on stage and playing. And the hair on my back just stood up. And I thought, God, this is incredible. But
it was so good. I wish there were more people here.
It was a very sad reminder of where we were at that time, playing in a beautiful theater that's empty because we're not allowed to have get-togethers or concerts or anything.
Yeah, Hallelujah would the hair on my arm just stood up. It was so good. It was good.
Thank you.
It was good.
Thank you. And thank you for your service too. I didn't thank you for your service.
Well, thank you. How do you respond to that? Thank you for your service. Is it with a thank you, or is it an uncomfortable silence and thank you?
It's if somebody says thank you for your service, I just kind of nod. I say you're welcome, or sometimes I'll say it's my pleasure.
Or you get awkward and you go, you too.
Right.
Sometimes I do that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. If another veteran's like, thank you for your service, I always say, you too, brother. Thank you. Or, try and throw it right back. Because I am very grateful of people that have served before me and the guys that are serving now. I've got a nephew that's stationed in Germany right now. I had another nephew that was in the Marines, and I had a niece that was in the Navy. So, military runs very deep in my family.
And being patriotic, just loving the country. I mean, there's no better country.
There really isn't. And
we have our ups and downs, but there's no other country that I would want to live in.
Oh, me either. I've been around the world 3 times, been to so many different countries, and this really is the best country to live in. And that's why I get so angry when I see people that hate this country. And usually those are the people that have never left their hometown.
Yeah, overtly. Fuck the United States, You were born here.
Right. And it's like, go somewhere else then. Like, you have the freedom to go to another country. Try something else out if you want to. That's totally fine. But, my God, don't burn that flag or desecrate it. That's terrible. It's terrible. There's nothing that gets under my skin quicker than seeing desecration to the American flag.
So you've got a new EP coming out. It's dropping in March?
March 12th, yes. And
The Last of a Dying Breed.
Yes.
And
the cool thing is it's available for pre-order, pre-save on every music outlet you can think of. But if you go to iTunes and pre-order it, you instantly get the title track Last of a Dying Breed. And then if you go over to Spotify and pre-save it, you get an exclusive video of Nature the Beast live performance.
Oh, good.
Yeah. And I'm excited, man. I know all the artists say, like, this is my best one yet. This one really is pretty top notch.
You're proud of your work. And
I am. And I try and walk that, there's a fine line of being cocky and proud. I am very proud. I try not to be cocky, but I am proud of my work. I put my heart and soul into this. This is my music. It's my livelihood. And most of these songs I wrote, so it's kind of a glimpse into my life. So I do want to be proud of what I've done. Especially, I've got stepkids and kids that are going to look at me and what I've done, and I want them to be proud as well.
So there was a rumor spreading that you were going to play a song for us. Is that still possible or no?
Yeah, I sure will. Do you want to? I'll tell you what. We just talked about Nature of the Beast. How about I do that one?
I would love that. I think we would all love that.
Yeah, let's do it. I just happen to have a guitar right here.
Oh wow! Imagine that.
So this one, I've got a brother, my middle brother, that my entire life he has struggled with addiction. Even when we were kids, he got addicted to caffeine. He's just struggled with addiction. He's a recovering alcoholic. A few years back, he got into the really heavy stuff, meth, crack, and it was very bad.
That's horrible.
And I can't imagine having something so powerful like the addiction just take a hold of you and completely change you and make you do things that you would never do. I was watching my brother do and say things that I knew that is not my brother. That's the drugs. That's the beast. And I wanted to put a song on this record and dedicate it to my brother, and not only to my brother, but there's tons of veterans out there, as you know, that struggle with PTSD, and they turn to drugs, and that's how they try and deal with their PTSD, and they just get caught up in this swamp of addiction. So that's this song called Nature of the Beast. Feel like I'm driven by forces I don't understand, led by the nose with invisible hands, and most of the time I don't know who I am or which wolf that I wanna feed. There's a boy in this man that don't wanna grow up, and I go out of my way just to get myself stuck. And I reckon too much is never enough when you're wired for the hunt like me. And it does what it does, and it runs like it runs, and it pushes when you pull on the reins. And the best you can do is the best you can do. I can't outrun what's in these veins. Well, I head west, but I wind up east. Ain't no cure for my disease. And that's the nature of the beast. It's a hill that I'm climbing just a little too steep. It's a hole that I'm in just a little too deep. That drives drunks and fools right down to their knees. And we both know that I'm both of these. And it does what it does, and it runs like it runs, and it pushes when you pull on the reins. And the best you can do is the best you can do. I can't outrun what's in these veins. Well, I head west, but I wind up east. Ain't no cure for my disease. That's the nature of the beast. And it does what it does, and it runs like it runs. what's in these veins. Well, I head west, but I wind up east. Ain't no cure for my disease. And that's the nature of the beast. And that's the nature of the beast.
Wow.
Little nature of the beast for you. There you go, man.
That's wow. That was your brother's struggle.
Yeah, man. Unfortunately, I know a lot of people that struggle with that. By the grace of God, my brother is recovered. He's
Good.
sober. But I, being from a small town, Hartford City, it's like I wake up every day and I'll scroll on Facebook and somebody I know overdosed. There's a song on this new EP called Black Cloud. And it's basically, that's what it's about. It's about this black cloud that's over these small towns, and drugs have just run rampant in some of these small towns. And it's sad. It's very sad. I see a lot of people struggle and lose the battle with addiction. And I also see a lot of people that beat it and they fight it and they win and they live to tell about it.
I get nervous because my kids, I say my kids, they're in their 20s, they're in Montana, and like Montana is like notorious for really bad like meth problems, and I couldn't imagine having that hit home as far as someone who I love,
right, happened
to. That's so bad because the devil that possesses your loved one, and they just they say and they do things against the family that they love, and
right.
You've all grown up together. They do things that are just unconscionable.
For sure. I'll never forget. I was getting ready to head down to Florida to do a songwriters festival. It was the Frank Brown Songwriters Festival. This was probably 4 or 5 years ago. But 2 days before I was supposed to leave, I'd gotten a phone call from my dad saying that my brother had just went off the deep end, and this is what he was doing, and his wife and kids, they took off, and she was scared for her kids. And I just kept thinking, my God, what is going on? I had no idea he was even on drugs at that point. And I just thought, what in the heck is going on with my brother? And then, come to find out, once they finally got a hold of him and basically literally wrestled him to the ground, they threw him in jail. Thank God. That was the best place for him at that time. Right. And that's when we were all like, what? You've been doing this for 2 years? Like, what? Where was I at? Like,
that's all it took was 2 years.
Right. And it started, man, with the same way that it starts with a lot of people. He had surgery. The doctor put him on like Vicodin or whatever pain pill it was.
Opioids.
Right. And, with people that struggle with addiction, that have an addictive personality, man, that's the last thing that they really need is an opioid. And unfortunately, man, he got addicted to it. And when the pills didn't work, he switched to something stronger.
Or when the prescription ran out, you got to do something.
For sure. But like I said, man, by the grace of God, thank God he's alive, he's well, he's got 2 beautiful kids, amazing wife. I'm very happy and I'm very proud of my brother. Very, very proud of him. I'm
super happy to hear that, and I'm glad he's doing well. And I wish him all the best luck in the world. And it's not luck. You got to do the work, right?
Right. There's no luck in it whatsoever. First thing you need to do is you need to find God, and you need to get right with God, and then he'll take over from there.
So tell me about Last of a Dying Breed. I heard that song and I'm like, wow, this is awesome. I heard Pray and I'm like, this is great. And I heard the first half of it and I'm like, okay, this is cool. I like this song. And then I heard the whole song and I'm like, holy crap, he's talking to his grandpa.
Yeah.
And I cried. I cried. And this was like 20 minutes before I started the show. I'm like, oh,
no way.
it hit me. It really hit me. It was great. It was awesome.
Yeah. So with Pray, my grandpa, he had served in the military. And unfortunately he committed suicide when I was in the 8th grade. But you know, that's kind of how I would still talk to him. That's how I would talk to him. I would just talk to him like he's right next to me.
That hit me like a ton of bricks. It just is like hunk.
Right.
You want to talk to me? Just pray.
Yeah, just pray. Talk to me all you want. I believe that. I know both of my grandparents, my grandma and grandpa, both are in heaven, and I still talk to them. There's nothing wrong with that.
So tell me about Last of a Dying Breed.
Last of a Dying Breed. It's funny how this one come about.
It's all true. It's all true.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it's absolutely true. I was shopping with Megan, and I believe we were shopping for baby stuff. We were expecting our first child. And I try to be the man that my dad wanted me to be. I don't believe chivalry is dead. I still hold the door for Megan.
Totally.
No matter what, if it's the car door, if it's the front door, if it's the bedroom door, whatever, I'll hold the door for her. And I just believe that. I believe in that. But we were shopping. I held the car door open for her. She got in. I shut the door, walked around to my side, got in the driver's side. And then I got a knock on the window, and there was two other women. And I rolled the window down, and that other lady looked at Megan, and she said, "Young lady, you got yourself a real nice young man right there," or something like that. And she said, "We don't see guys that do that anymore these days."
Were they older?
Yeah, they were older. I don't know. I mean, they weren't like 80s or 90s, maybe mid 60s. So, she said thank you, and she said, he does this all the time, and that's just how he is. And we left and rolled the window up, and we started talking about that moment. And she said, "I feel like you're just kind of the last of a dying breed." And I was like, "Oh my God, that's a song."
There's a song.
I wrote it down on my phone, "Last of a Dying Breed," and then came home and wrote it. And yeah, it's 100% true. I stand up for the things I believe in. I don't always do what's right, but
nobody does. No one does.
Right. Because sometimes what we think is right, we know like really isn't right. If that makes sense.
You're like, you make a decision to do something. You're like, I know this is fucked up, but it's going to get me what I need.
Right. Pretty much. Yeah. So, yeah. And I love the song. It's one of the heavier, harder songs.
It's a fun song. It really is.
Thank you. Man, if you think that one's fun, seriously, I can't wait for you to hear Black Cloud.
Are you going to play it, or do I need to hear it?
You're going to have to download it.
Dude. You have no worries. I'm going to pay you. What I was going to ask you is, how can I pay you the most money to download your songs?
So, honestly, I get asked that all the time. Like,
I want you to get the money. I don't want, folks to get the money. I want you.
Right. So honestly, the best way that you can help a musician, honestly, just listening to their music helps out. Streams are great, but if you really want to put money on an artist's table, buy their albums on iTunes or Amazon. Don't stream it. Streaming it's fine. I get like 0.0001 cent if you listen to my song, whereas opposed to if you go to iTunes and buy it for $5, I get 4 of that.
Okay, if Spanky is still awake, and I'm sure she is, and this is where I heard "Last of a Dying Breed," pop that link, and I'm going to download whatever EP you put out, because I'm not it's like I said, I'm not a country guy. I'm not a connoisseur of country music. I don't consume it, but I heard your music and I'm like, Yeah, that's going to be on my playlist.
Right on. Thank you. I did see that in your comments where you said, I'm not a country guy, but I will be adding this guy's stuff to my
Oh, it's
playlist."
so much fun to listen to.
Thank you, man. That means a lot to me, especially if I don't know that I would consider myself country. I try not to like put myself in a genre.
Do you want to put yourself into a corner, or you're just a musician?
You know what? I just want to make music that feels good, to be honest. And that sounds really cliche, and I don't really necessarily want to be country. I don't want to be rock. When I write a song, 9 times out of 10, I can hear it in my head, and I get a hold of one of my best friends is an amazing producer, Chris Condon with LFT Studios. And we just start talking about, like, what do you hear? This is what I hear. I hear banjo. I hear this. I hear that. I hear that. And we just make the song come alive. And honestly, man, that's one of the most rewarding parts about being a singer-songwriter is writing a song on just an acoustic guitar, and then, a month later going into a studio with a bunch of session players that are crazy talented and watching this very basic song just come to life. It's phenomenal, and it gives me goosebumps every single time. It's such a cool feeling.
Do you have a band?
I do. My band's based out of Nashville. Chris, one of my best friends, Chris Condon, I talked about. Man, phenomenal player. And what's funny is, so when Billy Ray Cyrus had reached out and wanted to do this tour together, he heard my record Pray. And I'll never forget, I was telling Chris, like, man, Billy's wanting to do this tour. He wants to go on the road and do these shows. I told Chris, I said, man, I would absolutely love it if I could get Billy and you connected, because I think Billy would really like your style of playing. So Billy listened to the record, and the first thing he said was, oh my God, who's playing guitar on that? And I said, that's my buddy Chris. He goes, man, I want Chris. I want Chris to be my band leader. I was like, okay. So I went to Chris, and I was like, dude, Billy wants to go on the road, like you, me, him, like, this is great. So Billy technically used my band while we toured.
Oh.
And it was great.
You didn't feel used. I mean, you felt appreciated, I guess.
I did. I did feel appreciated by Billy. After about the 4th year, I started to feel a little bit used, not by Billy whatsoever. Billy's like a brother to me. But there were other people, the behind the scenes people, that I was starting to ask a lot of questions to, like, why is this my 4th year of being Billy Ray Cyrus's opening act? Why am I not doing other stuff, playing other shows, touring with other people? You know what I mean? Just questions like that. I didn't feel like I was evolving.
Writing originals and doing your thing, right. Branching off.
Yep, for sure. Yep, absolutely. But the first 2 years was an absolute blast. We got to tour the world. We toured Australia. We toured Canada. It was phenomenal, and I got to do that with my band.
You have got a lot of great experience. So,
for sure,
if anyone wants to book an awesome, I wouldn't call it. I'm not going to box you into a country thing. I think it's just it's rock, but you got some feel good stuff in there and slower things. But
sure. Man, I don't know. I just feel like I just want to make good music. So if I get put in a genre, the good music genre.
Is there a chance that we can hear Last of a Dying Breed from you?
On the guitar?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. So I will do, we put out a single. It's also on this record.
Okay.
Last of a Breed, I love it. But when I play it on acoustic, it just doesn't have that, like.
It has a punch that's not there.
It's very hard to get that punch in the throat with just an acoustic guitar.
And your vocals are like 3-octave type. It's good stuff, man. It's really good.
Right. I will. So I wrote a song with, I don't know if you're familiar with a guy named James LeBlanc. Probably not, because you don't listen to country music.
No, I don't.
However, you may have heard a song called Modern Day Bonnie and Clyde. Travis Tritt recorded it. A buddy of mine, James LeBlanc, wrote it. And
got a tune down to D?
Yeah, you got it. That's how you know a singer-songwriter's getting serious is when they tune drop D. Anyway, so I was playing a Songwriters Fest in Muscle Shoals, Alabama.
You went to Muscle Shoals.
I did.
Lots of magic. I mean, Leonard Skinner, Muscle Shoals, has got the Swampers.
Right. So before I went to Muscle Shoals, I've always been obsessed with Fame Studio because so many incredible people, Aretha Franklin, Allman Brothers, you know, they've all recorded. Dwayne Allman was a session player there. And I've always been obsessed with Muscle Shoals and the music that come out of this. There's a total different sound. So I got invited to do the WC Handy Fest in Muscle Shoals and reached out to James LeBlanc and said, man, would you be interested in sitting down with me and trying to write a song? And he said, yeah, absolutely. He said, meet me at the Fame Studio. And I thought, what? Like, we're going to write at Fame Studio? Are you for real? Who are you? How do you get into Fame Studio? So went to Fame Studio later on that night, walked in, the receptionist was sitting there. And I said, I'm looking for James LeBlanc. She said, I'll go up the hall, first door on the left. I was like, okay. So I go up the stairs, and I don't know if you're familiar with Fame, but a guy named Rick Hall founded Fame Studio. I was very familiar with him. I probably would have fangirled if I would have met him. He's unfortunately. I walk up the steps, first door on the left says Rick Hall's office. And I thought, well, I am not about to walk in there and get shot. So I come back down the stairs and I said, ma'am, you told me that it was the first door on the left. And she said, yeah, he's in Rick's office. I was like, okay. So I walk in and there's James sitting at Rick's desk, and his desk was still set up with paperwork and a pen that he had left there. Nobody's touched his stuff. It was just like how he left it. There was actually a contract on his desk that was not signed. And I remember telling James, I said, dude, this is like the Rick Hall's office. And he said, yeah. He said, man, me and Rick were pretty tight. They let me come in here, and this is where I write. So we started throwing 15 million things at the wall just to see if something would stick. Ideas going back and forth. We had been at it for probably about an hour, and we hadn't really come up with much. And then we started going through our phones and our notes. And I had said something about everybody's somebody. And he kind of looked at me and he said, what did you just say? I said, I had this thing in my phone that called Everybody's Somebody. And he goes, man, that's it. He said, let's write a song, Everybody's Somebody, because everybody is somebody. So we did, and we threw it on this EP coming out. And I would love to do this one for you, man. Mama was a gentle soul, born with a heart of gold. She never met a stranger in her life. She taught me about the golden rule. She came from the old school. She never met a stranger in her life. In case you didn't catch that the first time.
Yeah.
Since then, Mama's passed. What she taught me last, she'd say that everybody's somebody, ain't nobody. Well, don't let anybody tell you that ain't so. 'Cause everybody's somebody you know. Whether you're a millionaire or a carny at the county fair, you're gonna get the same from me. We're all cut from the same old cloth, a damn Yankee or a Southern drawl. I was raised to believe that everybody's somebody, ain't nobody. tell you that ain't so. 'Cause everybody's somebody you know. Everybody's somebody, ain't nobody. Well, don't let anybody tell you that ain't so. 'Cause everybody's somebody you know. There you go, man.
That is so awesome. I love that.
Thank you. And for you not being a country guy, that means a lot that you would dig a song like that.
I dig a lot of songs, but if you listen to the words, ain't nobody. Everybody is somebody's son or somebody's daughter. Everyone you meet on the street is a family member of somebody. Someone loves this person.
For sure. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm the kind of guy too that, you know, I'm going to treat you exactly how you treat me. If you treat me with respect, and you know, you're going to get the same from me, whether you're a carny at the county fair, whether you're a millionaire, it doesn't matter to me. However, if you're one of those people that, you know, want to burn the flag or desecrate the flag or complain about this country and nonstop just complaining about where you're living, and you want to, you know, burn buildings and protest and ruin people's lives, then I'm going to treat you a little bit different.
I got nothing for you.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I got nothing for you.
So you've done a lot so far in your career. What are your goals for the future?
Man, I would love for this record that we're getting ready to put out to hit the charts. I was lucky enough that Prey did that, but my goal is just to continue to make music that people connect to, that people will still listen to, and that I'm still able to do it for a living.
Are you still gigging? I mean,
you know, I did get to play a handful of shows last year. 90% of them went away. We're looking pretty busy this year. We've got a jam-packed summer, that's for sure.
Oh, I hope so.
But yeah, I think my first gig back is in April, I believe. And then after that, it's pretty much balls to the wall and hang on. If they stick around, you know what I mean? As long
whenever the reins are released, you're on the ground.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm ready to get back to it. I know that. It's funny, man. I never realized how addicted to playing music I was, and how much I truly needed it just for my mental health and my well-being. Never knew how much I needed that until I couldn't do it anymore. And then, you know, after like the third or fourth month of this lockdown of flattening the curve, man, it really started. Like,
we're at the 1 year mark now.
That's 2 weeks. I'm gonna take 2 weeks.
two more weeks.
It really started to like affect me mentally, and I'm even Megan was like, "Listen, I feel like you need to do something. Like maybe figure something out. Get a part-time job somewhere just to get out of the house and do something." And like I said, I've always had my CDL, so I started driving a dump truck again just to like give myself that sense of self-worth, you know, because I wasn't able to provide playing music, and I lost that feeling of providing for my family. So I started driving the dump truck again for just a couple of days a week, and that's really kept me grounded.
Did you ever reach out to like a service organization for veterans to get you back started again, or?
No. I haven't. Like I said, I've been working with Patrick Gear as my manager from High Gear Promotions, and he's just been hustling, trying to find me gigs and shows and keep me busy. We did a lot of live streams last year, and those were great. We did a lot of like stuff like what I did at the Lerner Theater, I did some stuff with Texas Roadhouse, a live stream for them, and some other businesses that was able to, keep the money coming in. So I haven't totally stopped playing. It's been a while since I've stood in front of a crowd.
It's almost like you're being prevented from doing that because of the situations.
Yeah, absolutely. We're being prevented from doing that.
So if anyone was going to contact you, you're on like every social media and it's all the same. Derek Jones Live.
Yep. Derek Jones Live, DEREK Jones Live. And then my website, like if somebody were interested in booking me, just go to derekjoneslive.com. And then I've got merch and CDs and all kinds of stuff for sale. And then there's a link there that'll get you some information on how to get me booked for a show.
Man, Derek, you're the man.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me.
Oh,
thanks, man.
Thank you very much for being here on the show. We've reached, I guess we're past time. When we kind of do that sometimes.
Has it been 20 minutes already?
Yeah, it's been 20 minutes. Derek, thank you very much, man. I love you, brother. Thank you all for tuning in. Derek Jones, go and check him out on all of the social medias, derekjoneslive.com, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You're on Twitter?
Yep, I'm on everything. Twitter, Facebook, all of that stuff.
You know what? You know what I don't like about Twitter is, there's just like a political cesspool of dumpster fireness. I don't like that. It's just like everyone hates each other, and if you disagree with me, you're a Satan.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, we've lost the ability to understand that if your opinion is different than mine, that doesn't mean we have to hate each other.
You're the devil.
Right.
Personal responsibility? What the fuck is that?
Right. For sure. Yeah. There's no accountability anymore.
All right, Derek, thank you very much for being here on the show. And with the WTF Nation, we love you, and I'm going to download your stuff.
Thank you, brother. Love you too, man. Thank you for having me, dude. I appreciate it.
Love you back. All right, everyone. We will see you on, let me see, today is Friday. We have a show on Monday. So tune in with Ice and Flash on Monday for the Monday edition. And thank you very much, Derek, for being here. My name is Kaz, and we're here with Pooky, and I think Spanky is still here. And we'll see you on Monday.
Oh, I'm still here.
Oh, yeah.
Sweet dreams.
Hey, Spanky, you have any housekeeping or anything? We got stuff. We got a returning guest.
We do have a returning guest. It's Colonel Joe Bacino, and I am trying to do this off the top of my head. They're going to be on to talk about their new podcast, The Doomsday Clock. It's the history you never learned in history class. It's just started in January, and he'll be on Thursday to tell us all about that.
Awesome. Pooky, you have any parting words?
Stay safe, people. It's crazy out there. That's about it. Oh, don't sneeze.
Don't sneeze. Buy the dog coin or whatever that is. All right, everyone.
Yeah.
We'll see you on Monday. Love y'all. Enjoy. I'm going to play Derek Jones's Last of a Dying Breed.
This is WTF Nation Radio.
Wear a condom? We're in Fayetteville. No one gets STDs here.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio. WTF Nation Radio.